My name is Titus Manuel. I am the founding chairman of the National Association of Data Protection Officers of the Philippines and also currently the president of the Philippine Computer Society. Today, we're going to have an exciting event for you guys the entire afternoon. What we are going to cover is this one. Data center security in the age of AI, generative AI threats and solutions. The AI continues to transform industries. Its impact on data center security cannot be ignored, that's for sure. With AI-powered cyber threats becoming more advanced, organizations must rethink the technology, process, and people. Remember this one, guys. Technology, process, and people to safeguard critical data and infrastructure. I have two panelists with me. Let me introduce to them one by one. The first one is the head of the IT and ING Head Hubs Philippines. He brings extensive experience in managing IT operations and cybersecurity for global banking institutions. Let me introduce to you Mr. Kenneth Katugas. Yes, please. The last one, and not the least person we actually have. Let me introduce this gentleman. I know he's here. Our second panel is the founder, CEO, and CTO of Active Collab Incorporated, a leading innovator in AI-driven solutions. He specializes in development and security of AI-powered technologies. Let me welcome Mr. Paul Suleiman. Paul, where are you? By the way, my hair was not long when I was young. No longer the same. Okay. We have roughly about 2 hours to be able to have this discussion. I know you guys are ready. We're going to cover a subject matter that has to do with basically people, process, and technology. But we have some common guide. I did provide a common guiding questions. Both of them will actually answer all of them. So let me first throw you in the first question, guys. Oh, by the way, if we have time, we will have an open forum. Hopefully, we'll have time for that one. The first question. What are the most significant security threats posed by generative AI to the data centers that you have encountered or recognized, and how did your organization leverage technology to proactively address them? Let me start with our first panelist, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. I guess AI right now is really a hot topic, but it's nice to talk it about in a data center situation because we saw Gen AI in the different types of technology, but how about in data center? So I could give this example, not very particular with our organization, but within our banking community. So we have this bank in Asia Pacific wherein they have faced an issue with deepfakes, wherein deepfakes emanates their higher ranking official within their organization, providing high-level access, instruction access to their people to go to the data center and change this or do something like this, right? So it is very evident that using deepfakes can do harmful things within our data center. So leveraging as well AI, right, for us to be able to ensure that we can counter that, right? We can put that within our communication tools, like, for example, Microsoft Teams, right? For us to be able to analyze, is this instruction is coming from the person, or is this the person's talking to us is really our CEO or the head of department, right? So it is something for us to be able to ensure that leveraging AI technology, embedding with our day-to-day technology for us to counter this type of adversaries within our data center.
Okay, let's hear it from the gentleman there, please. Same question.
Thank you. Yeah, so what we've been seeing in the, tech industry, so I'm also a Microsoft MVP. So there's a lot of attack right now, really complicated attacks because you can code vibing, if I may use the term code vibing, like, because right now, developers now can use the potential of, let's say, Copilot for us to be able to create a new way of, writing codes. So what we tried, for example, is to write a virus out of Rust language, and it's not yet created, but when we tried it, it works. So we also seeing a lot of threats in terms of, if you're using open source technology, I can just copy paste code and ask my large language model to find fault. So that's why there's a lot of zero-day attack now, because if I may, like, use the term augmented intelligence, like if your developer has around 110 IQ and Einstein has around 180 IQ, if you use large language model to that, there's a lot of potential, like, vulnerabilities that the large language model can see that your developers cannot see. So that's application level threat, right? In terms of network, like, attack surfaces like your TCP, IP, your ports, etc. There's a lot of threat as well because in terms of creating, let's say, DDoS attack, it's now more complicated because I can just generate a lot of or terraform more containers to attack a specific, ports, etc. So generative AI is it. I cannot say it's special, but it's faster now because I can just, like, generate a DDoS attack for, like, for just a second and create a sophisticated code base for you to be able to get penetrated without even know what code base is that.
Uh, well, hold on for your questions, guys. We will ask this gentleman later on. We will move to the next topic. How can AI-driven solutions or security solutions be integrated into your own organization security frameworks to detect and mitigate AI-powered cyber attacks? Can you share real-world examples of successful implementations? Let's start with you, please.
Sure. So I've been playing on, like, let's say for example Ubuntu or any Linux machines, right? So again, if you're into Copilot already, I've created some sort of like 5 scripts that can just tell me if I have port that is being listened into an external IP address. Let's say for example, I created a Python code that will analyze if I have an open ports, and I can create that and put more sophistication also in terms of like generating report per seconds, right? And it's low code, no code, meaning I just generate it within my Copilot. In Microsoft, we have a AI-driven threat analytics that is available on Azure. So if you do that, it also analyze, attacks per second. So it in a way of like, chatbot that you can already use OpenAI for you to be able to, like, to ask anything about your what happened to your firewall, what happened to your WAF, what happened to your, let's say for example, to an open existing RDPs, etc. So, but of course, if you do that, there are some like consideration like are you using containers? Are you using microservices? In the context of data center, since I think in the Philippines, there's not a lot of application layer that we're currently using in our data centers. So sometimes it's not yet applicable on that context.
Kenneth, please.
Yeah, in terms of the network connectivity in the data center, right? There's a huge footprint in network connectivity with the data center. And multiple attacks coming in to this from different areas, different world location. But the question is, can we identify how fast are we able to identify if those are valid attacks or probably only a false alarm, right? For us to be able to ensure that we can act on those correct or valid attacks, we can use AI for us to do some checking in terms of those attacks. If it is valid or not valid, for us to be able to ensure that we can able to respond rapidly to those valid attacks that's coming in within our infrastructure.
Thank you. Now we're going to the most difficult and exciting part, the people. I've always gone through this process basically where people tell me, Titus, I know it was spoken in English. How come I do not understand them? They speak like in German language. Have you heard the statement before? That's the reason why this we've always tell the people that are implementing, think about user experience by design. That means when you start to develop something, you must be able to concentrate on the fact that my people or the people are my primary customers. Let me read the statement. What best practices would you recommend for managing human factors in data center security such as training, awareness, and talent management to ensure AI-powered systems are securely and responsibly managed? Please.
Sure. So in terms of, so my analogy there, like, cybersecurity in a nutshell is not a technology game. It's 20% technology, 80% of those are people. The recent attack on Bybit that exposed 30 plus billion USD in Ethereum, it came from social engineering, right? Blockchain was not broken or at all. It's not. It's really social engineering, right? Imagine that's $34 billion plus in Ethereum. So the social engineering aspect, if you will see it, right? It's more of a cultural thing, right? On how to like incorporate people and process. For example, that's why I'm very in a way gang ho about company that really put CISO or really serious about DPOs, etc. Because those process can safeguard decision making process in your company, right? The recent Bybit attack, what happened there is a North Korean hacker group called Lazarus mimic the we call it multisig in the blockchain world. So mimic the signers, mimic a UI, all right, that if you sign, it will release the Ethereum to their wallet, right? So maybe there's not a lot of protection in terms of processes. Like if you go back to the old school, for example, approval of check, you need to go to the desk before you can really release money, right? And that's part of process, right? So my suggestion there is to, of course, in terms of faster development, DevSecOps, etc., it's really important to really drive a culture of security just by enabling MFA. Those kind of basic things will really help us to have a more cyber secure culture in the company.
Kenneth, please.
Yeah, I could share what ING is doing, right? ING is really embedding within the DNA of each and every one, right? Because I agree that it's not only about IT, the responsibility, but should be the entire organization, coming from the board, going down to the most lowest position in the organization. So embedded into the DNA and do continuous awareness, right? And involve them in the process, right? This create a culture of understanding the importance of the cybersecurity within our space, because cybersecurity is not only within our organization. Day-to-day activities, we're dealing with that, right? In our mobile phone, we are accessing mobile banking, right? We're receiving one-time PIN. So all those things are part of our day-to-day activities, and we are already in digital age, right? So it is no longer part of the responsibility within the organization, but each and every one individual should contribute for us to be able to have a safe and secure workplace and society as well.
There is one intriguing question that I actually have come across with when when the National Privacy Commission were doing around. There's one question that actually a lot of people were not able to answer. The question is, how do you know that your people know? A tough question to answer. Let me pass that question to this gentleman. How do you know that your people know when it comes to implementation related to your profession or to secure the entire organization? Please.
Sure. So awareness is one of the keys, right? I have so many talks with other organizations. I can name a few, but not to promote any brands or something, but they put this awareness every day. As mentioned, like you have Microsoft Teams channel, you have email, etc. That this kind of drive for you to be able to really get the buy-in of all the people to always review their security is very important. So I don't think it can be solved by ChatGPT or generative AI. It's more of a cultural way, as I mentioned.
Kenneth, please.
Yeah. What we have done is to test the effectiveness of our awareness of the campaign that we're doing. One of the testing that we have is we release phishing email within our organization to see what is the reaction of our people. Will they just click it, or will they eventually report it to the IT for us to be able to action this? So continuously testing to ensure the effectiveness of our campaign, awareness campaign, as well as create a cybersecurity week wherein we invite individual and to engage towards to them, right? So those are the things that us ensuring that it is effective. We're not just doing awareness every day, every month, bombarding emails, but rather than see what are the sentiments and what is the awareness level of each people within the organization.
Any questions coming from the floor? Maybe we can open one. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, I guess beyond traditional defenses like firewalls and threat detection, what unconventional or often overlooked approach should organizations consider?
Yeah, for on our end, let's say for example, we use blockchain, right? We use some kind of well, currently we're doing research for homomorphic encryption, right? So the normal SQL, the so I'm not fan of like firewalls and all. My cybersecurity orientation is more of DevSecOps, like considering not second guessing or not putting cybersecurity while developing apps in second thoughts, right? So when we create apps, we always think of like, what's the most vulnerable part of this code base or this code line? When we're exploring homomorphic encryption, for example, let's say for example, for sensitive data that it doesn't need to be shared to someone or to anyone, we protect that using our encryption. And those data that can be shared, we anonymize that, right? So meaning on the application level, there's a lot of things that can be innovated, right? I don't want to go to firewall specifically because those are attack surface that can be controlled by appliance, by vendors, etc. But in terms of data, it's very important that you keep encryption as top in mind, and you also have some sort of like data roadmap, especially with AI, because at the end of the day, I believe in the next 5-10 years, this is our study in Microsoft, that having a large language model in RAG and also AI agents are going to be normal already.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. So with that, we'd like to be able to thank our esteemed panelists for sharing their valuable insights, and to all of you for being part of this crucial conversation. Let's continue to collaborate, importante yan, and innovate and secure future together. Thank you, guys.